Laura Riley of Webster, New York. My name is Chris Chichester. This is a envelope that I sent to you. And the address says Laura Riley, 781 Winifred Drive, Webster, New York, 14586. Webster, New York, where you and I used to live. So I don't know, since it says here, return to sender, unable to forward. If you live at 781 Winifred Drive, or you're just refusing to sign for it, I don't know if you work at the Fairport Public Library. I don't know anything about you as far as your present life. I know a significant amount about your past life since we first met on January 4th, 1986. So, Laura Riley, my name is Christopher Chichester, and I have known you for 35 plus years, and I don't know if this is your address. And what's in here is a simple document. What I'm demanding from you, I'm not asking. The facts and circumstances of my illegal eviction from where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. Do you know why it's illegal, Laura Riley? As I've said to you now multiple times, because there is no court order, and it does not matter that I didn't have a lease. What I did have is a psychopath landlord in Giuseppe Spano, who is now dead. And I do not know if the son, who is now dead, Giuseppe Spano, contacted you, or the father, Antonino Spano, contacted you. And I do not know your conversation with either Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano. I'll write this down and attempt to contact you again. I'll send you the transcript of this. So I'm evicted, Laura Riley. I think of Webster, New York, and I don't know the facts and circumstances of my illegal eviction. It's illegal because there's no court order. I'll repeat things since I'm concerned about the state of your mind and your mental health, that you cannot process facts and circumstances. And what I'm demanding from you is simple information, and you're refusing. You've committed a crime, Laura Riley, because to take everything I own from 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, New York, where we used to live, to a storage locker in Webster without a court order is a crime. And I was reluctant to write the criminal complaint about you, given the fact that I've known you for 35 years. But this disgusting, sick, obnoxious refusal by you to tell me the facts and circumstances of what happened in the obliteration of my life, when you're taking my things to that storage locker, has left me no choice but to write the criminal complaint about you. Because then I could possibly find out what happened. Like, Laura Riley, when you walked into the residence, why don't you take my books? Because when Pepper Lisiski of the United States Department of Veterans Affairs took me to storage locker, my books are not in there. Guess what else is not in there, Laura Riley? My couch is not in there. My bed's not in there. Other things that are not in there. What happened that day? And the reason why I have to be on here on this Google product that is YouTube and demand these answers from you is you, Laura Riley, decided to inject yourself back into my life. You're drive-by Laura Riley. You just want to drive by my life. My life's in wreckage because of you. And then when I have a series of questions about your sick, disgusting, illegal behavior, you're refusing to answer. Answer my questions, Laura Riley. This is a box I have. 620 Park Avenue. PMB number 361. Rochester, New York. 14604. I'm going to hold this up here, and I've included you on these. I do not know if I could contact you with this ridiculous email that begins SEND. Why don't you have an email with your name in it that says Laura Riley or Laura Hill? This is what I'm concerned about, the state of your mind and your mental health. And I'm not trying to be facetious or sarcastic. I really am. Where you have an email like that. Why create an email like this email has my name in it? So, Laura Riley, contact me here. My name's Christopher Chichester, and you've known me for 35 plus years. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. 361. Because I'm going to write a criminal complaint about you. Do you know why, Laura Riley? As I'll repeat this again, it's a crime to take every single thing I own from where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive to a storage locker in Webster without a court order. Did Giuseppe Spano call you? the dead son? Did Antonino Spano call you the father? If Giuseppe Spano or Antonino Spano used threatening language saying, words to the effect, quote, you better take everything your ex-boyfriend owns out of this residence or I'm going to throw it away, end quote. That's a crime because that's a threat. All this I've been told by the Tenant Defense Project and from my research online. And things you can read online are sometimes not true, and I have to verify what I'm finding out. You've committed multiple crimes, Laura Riley. When you showed up to take my things to the storage locker, what happened in the house? Did you have contact with Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano in the house? Because one of these two psychopaths had to let you in the residence where we used to live. Again, why I have to ask these questions is insane, Laura Riley. So, Chris and Laura, have you ever been arrested? We were asked that question. What's his name, Laura? Do you remember? Why do you think we were able to adopt Boom Boom? Because his name is Alex. And I changed his name because when I was a United States Senate staffer on Capitol Hill, I worked with Alex Heck. No dog of ours at the time is going to be named after someone that reminds me of a former coworker. So I named him Boom Boom because one of my favorite fighters was Ray Mancini. I don't even know if you remember that. Do you know why I named him? This is where I'm concerned about the state of your mental health, that if you don't even remember this, there's something really radically wrong, for which I have sympathy. If there's nothing wrong with you, if you're just a vile, sick, disgusting, depraved human being, which could be the truth, then do you understand what I'm saying to you here on this YouTube? Laura Riley, that it takes a court order to move everything from where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive to a storage locker in Webster. Do you understand this direct language, Laura Riley? If in fact I'm talking to you with this email that begins SCND, and you have other emails that I have that came back to me. So you have emails that you change that bounce back, and then you have emails where you don't even have your name in the email. Again, well, I'm concerned about the state of your mental health. So Laura Riley, this here is an address. And when I communicate with someone, when it's important, I want it to come back to me where it's signed. And it's a signature there. And this says here, I had this in my hand, Laura Riley, because of you. You know why? Because I no longer have a birth certificate. And this says, New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Vital Records, Certification, P.O. Box 2602, Albany, New York, 12220. I had to get a birth certificate, which still hasn't come. Albany, New York. You wouldn't know anything about Laura. Excuse me. You wouldn't know anything about Albany, Laura Riley, because you spent your entire life in Monroe County. You have been in Monroe County for 30 years. What the hell do you know about life? And this is again where I'm concerned about your ability to process facts and understand what I'm saying to you. That because of you, Laura Riley, I have this green card that's registered mail return receipt in my hand because I no longer have a birth certificate. Because of you, Laura Riley. Laura Riley, do you live at 781 Winifred Drive in Webster, New York, 14580? Did you just not refuse? Because they attempted to deliver this 3 times in September and October. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Laura Riley? Because I will repeat it. Because I'm concerned about the state of your mind and your ability to function and how you exist in a 1984 where the truth is irrelevant. And you look at me like I'm some type of alien human being when we lived at 3 different residences. You've known me for 35 years. Why do you think I'm wearing this Izod shirt, Laura Riley? Because you bought it for me at Kohl's. And we used to go shopping at Kohl's when you used to be Laura Riley. That Laura Riley, I will always know, embrace, and love. This Laura Riley today is unrecognizable. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. And I don't care about your precious feelings. And I don't seek to be cruel. I'm being as direct and honest as I possibly can. And you have significant problems with honesty when you're in a spare bedroom at 26 Sanders Farm Drive and I'm not in there, and you know what I'm talking about, and that was the end of our relationship. So, Laura Riley, again, do you understand what I'm saying here on this YouTube that is now at 10 minutes? Tell me the facts and circumstances of my illegal eviction. It's illegal because there's no court order. Did Antonino Spano call you? Did Giuseppe Spano, the dead son, call you? What happened when you were at the residence, or were you not at the residence? Where are my books? Did you walk in and look at my books and decide not to take my books? And now, Laura Riley, when you call my sister Barbara Stamatakis of Glenwood, Maryland, what did you say to Barbara? Because Barbara paid for the storage locker and then she didn't pay for the storage locker. How was that conversation? Again, the facts and circumstances of my illegal eviction, and I don't know the facts and circumstances of my illegal eviction that you're involved with when you're calling my sister Barbara Stamatakis of Glenwood, Maryland, who you met. When I say used to be Laura Riley, we drove from where we used to live in Penfield down to Glenwood, Maryland to meet Barb and her husband, Nick, and my nieces and my nephew. And my mother and father came. You met my mother and father. Am I such an alien human being, Laura Riley, that you didn't want to be in my life and meet my mother and father and meet my sister, my brother-in-law, my two nieces and my nephew, and my Aunt Mary Ann? Do you remember sitting there that day near the pool? Laura Riley? What's my name, Laura Riley? How long have you known me, Laura Riley? Where am I from, Laura Riley? Where did I work in Albany, New York? And who did I work for in Albany, New York? Where did I work in Washington, D.C.? And who did I work for in Washington, D.C.? Laura Riley. Quote, I heard you're a good soccer player, end quote. It's one of the first things you said to me, because at the 159th Aviation Battalion, during PT, there would be soccer. I'm from Rochester, New York. That's also what you said to me. We went out one time at night to get something to eat, and we were walking back to the 159th, and you jumped on my back, and I ran down the road with you on my back. Do you even remember that? Why did you want to do that with me? Why did you want to go out with me to eat that night? Why'd you jump on my back and I ran down the road and we were laughing about that? Why'd you invite me over to your room and I'd sit there in your room where you knew I respect your dignity? Why'd you want to be around me? Because I'm fundamentally the same human being. I just have more experience in life. That person that you met in 1986 is the same as the one talking to you on this Google product that is YouTube. I'm not some radically different human being where my values and how I think about life has been deformed. You are. And that's tragedy. You are a tragedy of life, and I believe you don't even know this about yourself. So, Laura Riley, do you understand what I'm demanding of you here? And I'm in contact with you, where I don't know if, in fact, you live in Webster, but I will find out where you are. And if you're employed at the Fairport Public Library or somewhere else, then I'll contact you when you're at work. You know why, Laura Riley? Because you've committed a crime, and I'm also demanding answers from you about Antonino Spano. Because if Antonino Spano, Laura Riley, called you, this is what I'm asking you in this envelope while I'm going to continue to hold it up. I'm asking you in here if it's Antonino Spano, the father that's still alive. I cannot write a criminal complaint about the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, and I hope hell's 5,000 degrees for this fucking multiple sclerosis freak that's in my life because you rent the 26 Sanders Farm Drive. What he was doing at this residence to me when our relationship ended, I've never seen a landlord engage in behavior like him. And I've had landlords in Washington, D.C. and Albany. He's a psychopath. He really is. So, Laura Riley, the father's a psychopath too, who I believe is still alive. Did the father call you with the son? Again, I'm going to repeat myself because I'm concerned about the state of your mind and your ability to process information. I can't even find out the names of my prosecutors. This is how many times. That's not everything, in fact. This is just what I decided to hold up. Every single time one of these cards goes to the district attorney's office, I'm asking District Attorney Sandra all the names of my prosecutors. He's come back to me too, over and over and over. So, and when I contact these psychopaths, these are their emails. And you're on here at this email that begins SCND. But since that's a free show email, I don't know if you're on there. And if you just tune me out because you want to get on with your life, which is understandable. But I have questions I'm asking that I'm demanding you answer. You know why, Laura Riley? Because you've committed multiple criminal acts. That's why, Laura Riley. It's a crime to take every single thing I own from 26 Sanders Farm Drive and move it to that storage locker in Webster without a court order. That is the crime you've committed. So, Laura Riley, this is my box number, 361. This is where I can be reached. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. Do you understand what I just said to you, Laura Riley? You know why I have this check here for $61.39? Because this is the money I had in my pocket when I went to Penfield Public Library one day, where you used to work. We sat on a bed in Webster, and I pretended to interview you when you were getting ready to go to that interview at the Penfield Public Library. But your employment there ended. I would go to that, use a scanner. I'm at the library I used to work in at the Penfield Public Library with this money in my pocket. And two Monroe County Sheriff Office employees followed me into the library because they're psychopaths. One of them with the last name Siemens. I stand up, I look at these two, and I know they hear from me. And Siemens runs at me. He clotheslines me. You know what a clothesline is, Laura? It's when somebody holds their arm out like this, and they run at you, and they slam their arm into the side of your head, and then you fall down, which happened to me. And then Siemens fell on top of me, and he punched me when I was down on the ground, and the other Monroe County Sheriff Office employee kicked me. These are violent criminals. This is why I just refer to them as Psychopaths Incorporated. They pick me up. I don't know I'm supposed to be in court. Take me down the hallway that you have walked down to Penfield Town Court with $28,000 bald-headed, skin-headed widow Paul C. Metz was waiting for me as I have $61.39 in my pocket. She declares me guilty of something. I don't even know what it is to this day. And then I'm driven to Geneseo, New York, where I'm in Livingston County Jail. I did not know that Livingston County was a county of New York, even though I know the State University of New York at Geneseo was there. And I was there for, I think, 6 weeks. And then Regina Harper, the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, had to win my release. Now, pay attention, Laura Riley. There wasn't even a prosecutor in that little room where you used to sit in Penfield Public Library that's just feet away from you. There's no prosecutor that day. Paula C. Metz, with his bald-headed, skin-headed, $28,000 widow, decided I should be in jail without a prosecutor present. What would you think if Davis or Sarah was in jail because one judge and a prosecutor didn't talk in court, and then you had to go see Davis and Sarah in jail? I've said this to you previously, too, because that's a sick lunatic fringe. So, this Penfield Town Court, where I'm demanding a list of defendants, this is what they sent me. I haven't opened this yet. Everybody's going to be guilty on here. And my name should be on here, which I said to them repeatedly. So, Laura Riley, again, I don't have a birth certificate, Laura Riley, because of you. I had to put my name here for the Department of Health, Bureau of Vital Records, Certification Unit, P.O. Box 2602, Albany, New York, because of you, Laura Riley. You understand what I'm saying to you, Laura Riley? Can you process what I'm saying to you? I'm concerned that you can't. And what I'm going to send the United States Department of Justice, along with the criminal complaint about you, is what I'm doing here with the FOIL. This FOIL is called a Freedom of Information Law. This is just what I did on December 22nd, 22. I'm using language on here. I hope it enrages these psychopaths at the sheriff's office. And this one says, the contract signed by Sheriff Todd K. Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees to include the name of the firearms contractor, the number of firearms purchased, the total amount of taxpayer dollars expended to purchase firearms. Because he's going to refuse. And based on my experience as a public employee, there's corruption in contracting, and he doesn't just have those weapons sent to him at the sheriff's office. So this is what I'm demanding, and I'm relentless with these psychopaths here. So that's why I told you that. And use the word relentless, because I'm going to be relentless in contact with you, even though I don't know where you live, Laura Riley. Answer me, Laura Riley. I'm going to say this again. Did Giuseppe Spano, the dead son, call you? to demand you come to 26 Sanders Farm Drive, remove everything I own from it? Or did the father, Antonino Spano, call you? What happened when you called my sister, Barbara Stamatakis of Glenwood, Maryland? Laura Riley. And most importantly, do you know it's a crime to move everything I own from 26 Sanders Farm Drive to that storage locker in Webster without a court order? You know what's down there in the basement is the washer and dryer, which Barbara bought. Barbara bought the washer and dryer. And then when Giuseppe and Antonino Spano rented the residence, when I'm no longer there and I'm sleeping in a park, they went down to the basement and said, this is a washer and this is a dryer that they don't own. They did other things too that I'm not going to go into. So, Laura, when I go to the UPS store, I get a pen here. And my box number is 361, Laura Riley. And I don't know if I'm communicating with you with this ridiculous email that says SEND, we don't have your name in the email line. So I'm going to say this again for you, Laura Riley. Christopher Chichester, that's me. Do you understand my identity and who I am in this life? 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. Laura Riley, was it the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, that called you? Was it the father, Antonino Spano, that called you? Do you know you need a court order to move everything I own out of where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield? What was the extent of your conversation with my sister, Barbara Stamatakis, who you met in Glenwood, Maryland? And I'm going to write all this down. I'm going to send you the transcript of this. Answer me, Laura Riley. You are a tragedy of life, Laura Riley.